Jeremiah chapter 18 presents a very, very beautiful imagery, and sometimes we take some of these facts for granted because we have the privilege of having the singular Bible with all the books together. But we have to remember that in the past, the Bible is a collection of separate books, separate scrolls. Jeremiah is written a good number of hundreds of years after the story of the Exodus. If you look back in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, and you read about the behavior of the Israelites, God repeatedly says that they are a stiff-necked people. They're very stubborn, very rigid, very obstinate. And I find it very, very beautiful that when God speaks to Jeremiah, Jeremiah says, Jeremiah, I want you to go to the potter's house. And I think Pastor and Elder Creighton might appreciate this because they're also guys in the skilled trades. I often look at the scriptures in the sense of, why did God tell Jeremiah to go to the potter's house? Why not to the blacksmith? Why not to the carpenter's shop? Clay, as we've all said several times earlier, clay is very, very pliable. You know, wood can be shaped also, and so can metal, but what's the difference? Clay is way, way easier. It's much more laborious to shape wood or metal, and to shape other types of elements, it requires much more intensive heat. If you want to shape wood, you have to sand it. If you have to shape metal, you have to put it under intense heat. But when it comes to clay, though, if you've ever actually played around with clay, it's very, very moldable. And I see a very, very beautiful imagery here that God wants to reshape our lives as long as we would yield to Him. And the difference between shaping clay versus wood or metal or some other element is that those other types of substances requires some other tool. But God, being the divine potter, He wants that intimate relationship with us. You don't need a separate tool or equipment in order to shape clay. You just use your fingers. So God wants to intervene in our lives, and He wants that intimate relationship with us, and He wants to be able to reshape us and mold us for His honor and glory.